Hello everyone. Welcome to the fourth Leadership Summit at IIM Raipur, themed around new age and new realities. Today, we are fortunate to have an esteemed guest with us, a supply chain and strategy professional with nearly 2 decades of experience in aviation, global logistics, infrastructure, retail, as well as telecom sectors. We welcome Mr. Saurabh Kumar, the Chief Executive Officer at GMR Hyderabad Air Cargo. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Uh,
Great being in your show.
Thank you, sir. So, how has your experience been at the Leadership Summit, sir?
I think it's a unique summit in the sense that your entire batch and organization was involved. I was very happy to see participation of about 300 people, students of first year and all the other staff involved. And you had a great panel covering all industries, right from IT into industries as different as aviation, which I represent, and also automotive, which is like one of the core sectors of the economy. And I think the students, it was well organized by Professor Das, and he nicely summarized some of the points that, and also guided quite well in terms of what are the areas that we need to deliberate from the institute and the student perspective. And some very smart questions from your students, actually asking us about very relevant challenges that each one of our panelists were facing and how we have tried to address and what is the learning from a student perspective. So I think I really enjoyed it.
Yes, sir.
Good.
That's really great to hear. So, coming to the air cargo industry in particular, could you please share with us a few digitalization aspects that are currently trending and driving it?
See, if you understand, the air cargo is a part of the larger logistics industry that we talk about, and there are three forms of logistics: air, land, and sea. And we represent the air logistics part. You'll be surprised to know that air logistics, while it contributes hardly 5% or so in terms of the weight and volume, but it contributes 35% in terms of the value of the goods being exported and imported. And that is the significance of this industry. We are talking about an industry which is very critical, very significant for the nation, and it is very time critical and value critical, and hence the need for automation is much more relevant in air cargo compared to any other forms of movement. Especially with respect to air cargo, the consumers don't expect any time lag for the cargo to wait. In fact, even before we accept the cargo, we actually know that on this date, this truck will bring this cargo, which is of this type, of this customer, and it is going from place A to place B. That is the level of connectivity and IT extranet that the ecosystem works in, where the moment the goods are ready to being exported, the information flows to all the people in the chain, and it reaches, and I am ready for the truck to come. And the moment I accept it, in my system, I interface with airlines, I interface with regulator, not physical interface, but the system interfaces, where all the statutory approvals are done, all the exchange of data between airline and messaging and validations are done. So while it looks like a very brick and mortar industry, but actually we are talking about an information highway which drives the air logistics. Because there is hardly any time period. The moment we load it in the aircraft, within 4 hours, it reaches where it needs to reach. And then they should be able to take up that set of documentation, and it becomes import for us. If something is as good as something coming into India, we get beforehand, we know what is that which is coming. So that is one part of it, which is the extranet ERP, which works very well in the air cargo ecosystem, where not 1, 2, but almost 4 to 8 stakeholders who hook onto it and work seamlessly, exchanging data, giving authentications and approvals as well. The second part of automation or technology adoption comes from the perspective of improving the productivity, automating the physical movements, automating the physical processes. And that is what we call paperless, documentless processing. We only want and we only get the cargo that needs to move. Nothing else should move, neither the human nor the paper. It's only the cargo which should move. A faceless cargo should come to us, and it should know, it should be a smart cargo, and it should go wherever it has to go. That's the ideal state. We are all working very fast in that direction. We're almost 80%, 85% as an industry. While at Hyderabad and at GMR Hyderabad Air Cargo, we have taken very specific pioneering proactive steps in this area of adopting some of these tech initiatives. But I'm just talking generally in terms of industry, so that you get a better idea. The third part of technology is coming from adoption of the new generation technologies, which is more to do with trackers, IoTs, and algorithms, smart algorithms behind those. Now, these are helping a cargo, which is a non-living thing, or a pallet, which is a non-living thing, to communicate with humans, to communicate with systems, communicate with entities, and communicate with regulators and customers. They are talking on their own. So it tells, I am here, this is my characteristics, this is what I'm carrying, this is what I'm going, this is what is my temperature, this is where you have placed me and forgotten me, or this is where I'm waiting for move. It's all actually, if you ask me, in true sense, lakhs and lakhs of IoT devices. It could be based on 2 or 3 underlying technologies, talking to each other and getting it done. So I think these are the 2 or 3 basic or more important, prominent activities that are happening in the digital transformation journey of our industry, and and something that we should all look forward to.
That's really interesting to hear, sir. There's so many things which are going on in the industry. So that
in fact, people say that it's manpower intensive. I said no. I think we are experimenting with new technologies like exoskeleton to see if the human productivity can become 2x or 1.8x. That will improve significantly the time as well as the fatigue and the ergonomics part. So those are things that's happening. It's no more just moving goods in truck. It's actually a new generation, actually application oriented, tangible business that we are running.
Okay, right, sir. So coming to something which you are really interested in, which you are really a big part of, the T-Hub startup in Hyderabad. So you have been a part of the community for a while now. So to all the aspiring entrepreneurs that are watching from IIM Raipur or even any other B school, what would be your advice to help them thrive in the startup ecosystem?
I never thought you'll pick up this question, but you have picked up this question. So good.
Thank you.
So, some say that people like you will work for 40, 45 years before retiring, but I have a different viewpoint. I don't think you all are looking forward to retiring in 45. Before 50 is my base case. Because, you all want to work fast. You all want to work independently. You all want to achieve what you want to achieve in lesser number of decades than what I did or my predecessors did. So that's the thing. And one of the phenomena that I'm seeing very prominent, people come out of the graduation, and unless they say that, yes, I am one co-founder of a startup, it doesn't gel well in their community. So, it's good. India lost the entrepreneurship journey, in the first 6 decades. But what do you see in the last 2 or 3 decades is that we are overcoming that gap very fast. People are realizing that it's not only about getting a job in a big 4 consulting firm or getting job in big 3 strategy consulting firms or getting job in the top 3 FMCG companies or 2 or 3 product and big brands in IT services and other things. I think they're realizing it's important that they do some thing which is innovative, something which gives them freedom to experiment, learn, and get the upside or value out of that initiative, and something which is not traditionally working under your boss and other things. So I think the startup, drive that I see in your generation, which is I think 2 decades, behind where I am now, I see that a lot. So what's happening is because of all of these, there is so much of startups that is getting planned, is getting coined, it is getting termed. But fact is that 80% of those will fail. It will fail in less than 1.5 years. Forget about it. It will fail in less than 1 to 2 years. It will fail. We are looking at a startup ecosystem where if there are 100 of you starting a startup, maybe 10 to 15 of them you will succeed. And what I've learned or realized after talking to so many of them, it's about doing extreme hard work, end-to-end responsibility, assuming that you are the owner, you are the person driving everything, accountable, and having no, and I'm again trying to tell you a very important thing, that all the startups I have met, they're extremely down to earth because they believe in learning from others. It's a very important thing. All the startups believe in learning from others, believe in learning from their customers, believe in getting very connected to their customers and put in their all effort. They dirty their hands in their journey to develop a product. That is the first, I should say, stage gate. Once the product is developed, testing and marketing that product is another big challenge, and it's not easy. That is the second gateway. And the third is sustaining and deriving value. By the time you reach stage 3, 85% of the startups are closed. Second aspects that I want to tell you is that startup requires some amount of planning, which is more in terms of their sustenance levels. In a sense, their cash flow, their ability to continually engage and keep the team together so that they can keep working. These are very important. In normal times as well, we say startups don't have these, sustaining resources. In current times, these resources are less than half. So we find many startups not able to even return to their office because they can't pay for their office bills. Forget about anything else. And consumers or potential clients are focusing on near-term initiatives, which may not be that related to the area where the startups are currently working. So there are startups like 20-30% startup who have suddenly become active because people are talking about touchless technology. People are talking about, fast scale analytics, video analytics, and, process automation, robotics, and all those things, RPA. But there's a big chunk of startups who are not finding any relevance because customers and corporates have started focusing on their near-term needs.
Okay.
So this is the landscape. If you understand and if you hear me out again properly, you'll figure out 2-3 very key messages, which actually depends on it's not a uniform message for all of you. It depends on what you want to do, what kind of startup you want to target, and what kind of planning it goes into, making a product into completing that product cycle.
Okay.
So it's a journey, and that's where I think that's good enough. It covers many of the points that you have in mind.
Right, sir. So I guess that's all we had for the session which we had planned today. I really, really thank you for taking your time after the day to do this with me. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you. Thanks. Great meeting you and interacting with you.